Good evening, I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments, and we begin this Friday night with breaking news. And yes, word in, a verdict has been reached in Tennessee in the case of the pastor who was shot and killed by his girlfriend, Latoshia Daniels. His wife, Tabitha, also shot. She survived. The pastor did not. Latoshia Daniels charged with first-degree murder, facing the rest of her life in prison. Let's take you inside the courtroom right now as we get ready to hear the jury's verdict. There are some lesser-included possibilities here of second-degree murder, manslaughter, criminal reckless homicide. All of those, something that the defense is looking for, because if it's first degree, it is game over for this defendant. The rest of her life, she'll be locked up.
A jury of your peers has found you guilty of second-degree murder in count 1. The jury has found you guilty in count 2 of reckless endangerment, and the jury has found you not guilty in count 3. As a 13th juror, I approve that verdict. We'll show your bond revoked, and we'll show this matter set for sentencing.
Thank you.
As I was talking and sharing, Brodes reached over and grabbed, I had a 2-arm chair, and he pulled me toward him and began to passionately kiss me. And from there, in that session, we did have sex for the first time. As I was performing oral sex on him, he began to thrust himself inside my mouth really hard. And I told him that that was hurting. Then he grabbed my hair. I had long hair, and he wrapped my hair around his hand, and he started yanking it. And when he wasn't thrusting himself in my mouth, he was pulling my hair really hard. And with his other hand, he would just hit me and hit me and hit me. And I was like, it's hurting. And he was like, you better not bite me. You better not bite me. And then after that, we had sex, and it was just rough, and it was hard, and it was just not what I was used to. And then once we finished, something he never ever does was he rolled over and just gave me the cold shoulder, and I was like, you're not gonna hold me? And he was like, no, and just went to sleep.
What began as spiritual counseling between a pastor and a woman seeking help later became a complicated personal relationship that ended in tragedy. In April 2019, a quiet apartment in Collierville, Tennessee became the scene of a shocking crime that would leave a pastor dead, his wife injured, and a community searching for answers. Brodes Perry, a well-known Christian leader in Memphis, was shot and killed by Latoshia Daniels, a woman from Little Rock with whom he had a complicated personal history. What prosecutors described as a calculated act, the defense called a crime driven by emotional pain and heartbreak. Over the next several years, the case unfolded through police reports, courtroom testimony, and public debate, revealing a story of faith, secrecy, emotional turmoil, and devastating consequences. This is the true story of how a relationship ended in tragedy and the legal battle that followed. Welcome to True Crime Diaries, where we uncover shocking crimes and hidden details behind real cases. Subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories. These are real lives and real tragedies, lessons we can't ignore. Let's dive in. Brodes Perry was a Christian pastor known for his commitment to faith and community service. He served as executive pastor at Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church in Memphis, Tennessee, where he helped lead ministries for young adults, couples, and families, focusing on strengthening the church and supporting spiritual growth. Before moving to Memphis, Perry worked in Little Rock, Arkansas, as pastor of assimilation at St. Mark Baptist Church, where he helped welcome new members and supported group ministries. He had spent many years in ministry and often wrote about his faith journey and dedication to serving others on his personal blog. To his congregation and colleagues, Perry was a dependable church leader who took his responsibilities seriously and worked closely with people facing personal challenges. His sudden and violent death in 2019 deeply shocked the church community and those who knew him. Latoshia Daniels was a licensed social worker and certified anger management specialist based in Little Rock, Arkansas, At the time of the April 2019 shooting, her professional background included counseling and behavioral health work, and she was associated with a business called The Root Behavioral Health. Daniels was 46 years old during her 2025 trial, placing her in her late 30s when the shooting occurred. She spent approximately 4 years in jail awaiting trial, a delay that drew public attention due to the seriousness of the charges and the prominence of the victim. Daniels had known Pastor Brodes Perry for years before the shooting, dating back to when both lived in Little Rock. Authorities stated that Perry and his wife, Tabitha Perry, were familiar with Daniels, and Tabitha considered her an acquaintance before the 2019 incident. At trial, Daniels testified that her relationship with Perry began through counseling during a difficult period in her life and later became personal and emotionally intense.
When you approached Brodes Perry about counseling, did you explain why you wanted counseling?
I did.
What did you tell him?
I told him that my husband and I were having some marital issues, and I just needed to figure out spiritually which direction I just needed some spiritual guidance on direction.
Did Pastor Perry agree to meet with you?
He did.
Where did y'all meet?
We met in my office.
Why?
I didn't feel comfortable with being in the church, and I wanted to be in a safe space because this was, again, something that I was not fully embracing, that I had to deal with, and I wanted to be in a space where I knew that I could be able to be vulnerable.
During the first counseling session, what did you discuss?
Everything that was going on within my marriage.
How long was the first counseling session?
It was about 2 hours.
Were you emotional during that process?
Yes,
Were you open?
I was.
Did you tell him very personal, private things?
I did.
How long, well, at the end of that session, did you determine at that time that you were going to ask for a second session?
Yes.
How long until you had a second session?
It was approximately 2 to 3 weeks before the next one.
Did it feel good to get all of that off of your chest?
Yes.
Did you reach out to Brodes Perry for a second counseling session?
I did.
Did he say that he would come do a second counseling session?
He did.
When you had your second counseling session, did you ask him about any odd behavior from the first session?
I did.
What was that?
In the first session, from the moment he walked through the door, he had his hands in his coat pocket, his jacket pocket, and he sat there the entire time during the session with his hands in his pocket. So I found that to be a little strange, but I didn't say anything in the first session. So I asked him during the section session, because he came in and he didn't have his hands in his pocket, and I was like, what was that with you having your hands in your pockets? And at that time he told me it was because he was trying to maintain his professionalism.
Her defense argued that she acted under emotional distress rather than with premeditation. Prosecutors countered that Daniels purchased a gun on the same day as the shooting and drove several hours to Perry's home in Collierville, Tennessee, actions they said demonstrated intent and responsibility. In 2025, a jury found Daniels guilty of second-degree murder in Perry's death and reckless endangerment for injuring his wife. The verdict indicated the jury believed she acted knowingly, but did not find sufficient evidence of full premeditation. Behind the shocking events of April 4th, 2019, was a complex and emotionally charged relationship between Latoshia Daniels and Brodes Perry that had been building for years before the shooting. Their connection did not start with anger or violence. It began, according to Daniels, during a time when she was seeking emotional and spiritual support. Daniels testified that she first reached out to Perry for counseling while she was dealing with serious personal struggles, including a difficult divorce. At the time, Perry was a pastor at a church in Little Rock, Arkansas, and Daniels said she felt drawn to him as someone who could help her in her faith and life. Over time, what began as guidance turned into something far more intimate. Daniels said Perry crossed professional boundaries by kissing her during a follow-up session.
As I was talking and sharing, Brodes reached over and grabbed, I had a 2-arm share, and he pulled me toward him and began to passionately kiss me. And from there, in that session, we did have sex for the first time.
And she described the relationship as one that lasted for about 2 years. She said at first the connection made her feel valued and needed. But as it continued, she began to feel confused and emotionally dependent. Daniels described how Perry allegedly set strict rules for their interactions, including specific ways of communicating and behavior when they were together, that made her feel both chosen and controlled.
Now, I want to talk to you about your relationship with Brodes Perry, okay?
Okay.
After y'all had sex, did Brodes give you any particular instructions?
Yes. He immediately told me to download a app for us to be able to communicate. That app was called Confide.
Tell the jury what the Confide app did.
The Confide app, it's whenever you would send a message, and when you read that message, it would disappear. You couldn't screenshot it or anything like that. It would immediately disappear once you took your finger off the screen.
Did Brodes teach you how to use that app?
As we continued the app, it was probably maybe a week or 2 later, he found out that if you had, like, other people had your phone number in your phone and they had that app, then they could see you on it. So he had me to change my name on it and also change the way that I attached it to my account. So I went from having my phone number to coming up with a email address. So I made a new email address to be able to attach it that nobody else had.
And he taught you what all you needed to do for that app to do that?
Correct.
So that it could not be traceable back to you?
Correct.
And he did that all very quickly?
Yes.
Did he have, or was it almost a rule? Was it a rule that you had to use that app to talk to him?
Most definitely. That was our main form of communication. As the relationship went on, if he wanted to use a different form of communication, like an email or maybe even direct messaging, he would then tell me, go to this platform or go to that one. But it was not, if I was to reach out to him without him reaching out to me first, I had to use the Confide app.
Did he set any other rules for your relationship?
Yes. As far as it came to trips that he wanted me to go on with him, I was the one who had to pay my way as far as airfare or travel, and then he would, his words would, he would then take care of the rest, meaning that I would have somewhere to stay. When I was in the hotel rooms, I was to stay naked. I couldn't have on any clothes. I had to, and the only way I would have clothes on is if, like, we were getting ready to go out. But other than that, when in the hotel room, I had to be naked. I couldn't, if something was to have happened to him as far as medically, he did not want me to call 911. I would have to call, who we referenced him as the professor, but it was Pastor Pointer. I would have to call him in order to get him emergency attention. He said verbatim lots of times, do not call 911.
Did he add any rules towards the end of your relationship?
At the end of the relationship, he wanted me to say yes, sir, and no, sir to him.
She said he even told her that his wife had agreed to their arrangement and that the 3 of them were like sister wives, a claim both Perry's widow and prosecutors denied.
Did Brodes tell you that he had talked to Tabitha about ethical non-monogamy?
He did.
Did he tell you that Tabitha had said she was comfortable with it, but he just hadn't told her about you yet?
He said that she had given him permission to be open on his side of the marriage.
So she was not allowed to be open on her side?
Correct.
But he told you that she had given him permission to go outside?
Yes.
But he had not told her about you, to your knowledge?
No, not to my knowledge. So we were just having conversations about things in life that we wanted to do, bucket list type of things that we were curious in. And at that time, he was like, one of the things I want to do is have a threesome. And I was like, yeah, no, that's nothing I've ever thought about. But he was like, well, I've had one before, but I paid for it. And this time I want to have one where I don't have to pay for it. And so he began to speak about, the term he would use is Tabitha and I being sister wives. Didn't quite know what that meant, but as things went on, he would start to talk about me watching them have sex. And he was like, but I think she'll be on board with it, just give it time. But so this would be the dialogue.
According to Daniels, the emotional pain grew deeper when Perry changed his behavior. She testified that toward the end of their relationship, he became more demanding and assertive, and then suddenly began ending things by disappearing text messages.
Did a situation arise where you had to pay back money to the church for Brodes?
Yes.
How much was that?
The debt was $2,500, but I ended up getting him $2,300, and he got very upset with me about it.
Why did he get upset with you about it?
Because he wanted me to do the full price.
And that was not your debt, right?
No.
How did Brodes react when you told him that you were not open to expanding to allow him to have more girlfriends?
He was emotionally distant. Like, well, he would tell me, well, you need to go and find someone. And I'd be like, I don't want anyone but you. And so he knew that would play on like my insecurities. So one time when he said, you need to go out and find someone, I said, well, what if I do? And he said, well, then we won't be together. So he knew that was going to get to me because I wanted to be with him. I enjoyed our time together when we did have it. And so he used the emotional part, the affection. He would give it to me, withdraw it if I wasn't really complying with what he wanted.
Since all of this has happened, have you had time to really retrospectively consider your relationship with Brodes?
Yes.
I want to talk to you, we'll get back to that. I want to talk to you about that Marco Polo group, okay?
Okay.
Brodes was in an ethical non-monogamy group with 2 other women, right?
Yes.
Were you a part of that group?
I was not.
Were you ever allowed to be involved with that group?
I wasn't.
But you knew about it?
Yes.
Would he have let you contribute?
That was the first time that of any activity that he done that he didn't even invite me to do.
Did he actively keep it from you?
I would say so, because with any other thing he did, even to joining like a bourbon society, like we had memberships to a lot of things together, but that was one thing that he did not invite me to.
Can you tell me about the text that you got on April the 4th?
I had sent out regular good morning text. I didn't hear anything from him that morning. And then later in the afternoon, I seen where he had responded, and so I opened it up, and it said, I think our time is up. So he had broke up with me via disappearing text.
How did that make you feel?
I felt so used and worthless, and I just felt like trash. Like, who does that to somebody who they say that they love?
You're a man of virtue.
Daniels told the court she felt rejected and broken when this happened, describing herself as feeling worthless and used. Her mental and emotional state deteriorated so much that on the day of the shooting, she said she bought a gun with the intention of hurting herself, not confronting Perry. But after traveling hours to Tennessee, where Perry and his wife had moved, her plans shifted. She testified, and she ended up at his apartment. Daniels claimed she did not fully remember firing the shots, and said her emotions overwhelmed her that night. At trial, the defense painted this story as one of deep emotional turmoil, suggesting Daniels was overwhelmed by heartbreak and confusion. Prosecutors, however, argued her decisions that day showed deliberate planning, buying a gun, driving hours, and confronting Perry at his home. This clash of narratives formed the emotional heart of the courtroom battle. The night of April 4th, 2019 started like any other for Brodes and Tabitha Perry in their apartment in Collierville, Tennessee, but it would end in horror. Around 10:20 p.m., neighbors heard multiple gunshots and screaming from inside the Meridian Park apartments, prompting urgent calls to police. That evening, Latoshia Daniels arrived at the Perry's home after she and Brodes had planned on how to tell Tabitha, which Brodes Perry didn't eventually follow suit. Tabitha, recognizing Daniels from the time the couple once lived in Little Rock, Arkansas, welcomed her inside and spoke with her for some time. After a short conversation, and Brodes Perry didn't say anything regarding what she and him had discussed earlier, she was angry and decided to leave. Tabitha began walking Daniels to the door when Brodes had no plan to walk her to the door himself. Without warning, Daniels pulled out a handgun and opened fire on Brodes. As bullets rang out in the apartment, Daniels repeatedly yelled, "You broke my heart," while shooting Brodes Perry multiple times. The pastor was struck in the upper body and collapsed inside the living room. Tabitha Perry, in an instinctive attempt to help her husband, knelt beside him, but Daniels turned her attention toward her next. She ordered Tabitha to get out of the way and then shot her in the shoulder.
I told him, well, we still haven't told Tab. You've always said something about telling Tab, so we haven't told Tabitha. And he said, okay, we'll tell Tabitha. He told me to go to the apartment and just talk to her about tennis until he got there, and that once he was there, we would tell her. He had to go to his boss house to drop off something. And so he gave me a backstory as to what to tell her if she asked me while I was in town, and we left. But before leaving, we came to the resolve that once we told Tabitha about the relationship, we had a trip that was planned to go. We was going to Kentucky. If she said yes, then that would be a new start, a fresh start. But if she said no, then that would be the trip that we would end.
Did Brodes indicate to you that he was going to tell Tabitha while y'all were at the apartment
Yes.
about your relationship?
Yes.
And what would have happened, or would you have been allowed to tell Tabitha without his okay?
I didn't know.
What would you have been able to continue a relationship with Brodes if you had done that?
No.
So I want to talk to you then about when you left downtown, okay? Mm-hmm. Where did you go?
I put in the address that he had given me, and so that address did say Collierville. I didn't know how far away it was or anything. I just placed it in the GPS.
Do you remember what time you arrived at the apartment?
I know it was late. I just remember when we were there and we were talking, I remember the news coming on.
Probably around 9 o'clock?
Yes.
So you left Little Rock, Arkansas at approximately 5 o'clock, right? And drove to downtown Memphis, right?
Yes.
That takes about 2.5 hours?
Yes.
How long would you say that you were talking with Brodes?
We talked for a while because I remember the valet pulling the car up a ways and getting out, and just because he was sitting in there waiting on him and we never did, so he just pulled it up and we continued to talk.
So then you left downtown, it was dark?
Yes.
Drove to Collierville.
Yes.
What did you do when you arrived at the apartment?
I circled around because I couldn't, it was dark and I really couldn't see like numbers or anything. So I circled around, and then I guess eventually I found the building number, and I parked and found my way to their apartment according to the address.
If I may just have one moment, Your Honor. This is part of Exhibit 12. Latasha, is that your car?
Yes.
Is this also a photograph of your vehicle?
Yes.
Which vehicle is yours in that picture?
The silver one?
This one?
Yes.
While you were sitting in your car, did you call Brodes?
I did. And I shared with him that I was a little nervous and could we just go somewhere and talk? And he said, no, we're going, you wanted to talk to Tabitha, we're going to talk to her.
Did he answer every time that you called him?
I didn't call him a lot, but I did that night.
Before you walked inside, was there a time that you called him and he didn't answer?
No,
Okay, not that you recall.
not to where I called.
After you had talked to him and he said, no, we're gonna do this, what did you do?
I went to the apartment and knocked on the door.
Were you wearing your coat?
Yes.
When did you put on your coat?
When I got out of the car to go to find him at the lounge.
Is that when you were walking around downtown at night by yourself?
Yes.
Did you ever take your coat off after leaving downtown?
No.
When you left downtown, how would you describe your feelings?
I was a little hopeful. I was like, okay, maybe, you know, we can get some resolve. We can get back to normal. And so that's what I was focused on.
And when he insisted on telling Tabitha, did you get even more hope?
Yes.
So what did you do? Did you get out of your car?
Yes, I got out of my car.
Were you still wearing your jacket?
Yes.
Did it register to you that you had a gun in your pocket?
It did not.
Did you go to the apartment?
I did.
What did you do when you got to the door?
I knocked on the door. And I can't remember, but I ended up bending down. And that's when she said, you know, I'm not going to open the door for someone I don't see. And so I knocked again. And that's when she was like, Tasha, is that you?
What do you mean you bent down?
I don't know if, I couldn't remember if it was time or sure or something. I just remember bending down, which is why she didn't see me when I knocked the first time.
You just don't remember?
No, I don't, yeah.
Who answered the door?
Tabitha.
What did she do when she answered the door?
She, once she opened it, she embraced me and said hello and welcomed me in.
Did you go inside?
I did.
Where did you go when you went inside?
She positioned for me to toward the couch, and she sat on one end and I sat on the other.
And that would be Your Honor, if I may put This is part of the cumulative exhibit. Is this the couch that you're referring to?
Yes.
And you were seated on this side?
Us.
And Tabitha was seated on this side?
Yes.
Did you talk to Tabitha?
Yes, we talked. We talked about tennis, but right before we kind of got into the tennis talk, she had made a phone call to Brodes.
And what did she say to him?
She told him, she asked how long it was going to be before he got there. And then she told him she had a surprise for him.
When Tabitha let you into the apartment, did she close the door behind you?
Yes.
You and Tabitha were sitting alone in the apartment with a closed door, right?
Yes.
Would anybody outside of the apartment have been able to see in through that door?
No.
How long did you sit talking with Tabitha?
Again, I know the news ended up coming on, so maybe 15 minutes or so.
At any point, did you pull your gun out and threaten Tabitha?
No.
At any point, did you verbally threaten Tabitha?
No.
At any point, were you trying to hurt Tabitha?
Not at all.
Were you happy to be there about to have this conversation with Tabitha?
Yes.
Was Brodes there yet?
No.
Now I want to talk to you about when Brodes Perry arrived, okay?
Okay.
When he walked in the door, could you see him?
Yes.
Can you describe his demeanor when he saw you?
When he came in, he didn't look surprised or anything, which is what I thought he would do since he knew I was going to be there. But he was just like, I think Tal was like, surprise. And he was like, this is not a surprise. I thought you had some keto cookies for me. And from there, he was like, what are you doing here? And then I went with the story again that I was in town for a conference. And we just kind of started engaging in small talk. He came and sat beside me. And then after about a minute or so, was like, would you like a pour?
What is a pour?
A pour is some bourbon.
Did you accept the pour of bourbon?
I did.
Where was Brodes seated?
He was approximately a foot or two from me.
I'm putting back up from the cumulative exhibit.
That blue chair?
This blue chair right
Yes.
here? And you were seated here?
Yes.
And Tabitha was still seated here?
Yes.
After you accepted the pour of bourbon from him, did he make any comments about you drinking?
He came back and sat down, and as we were talking, he would make references to me drinking and would say, well, I think you're gonna have to stay the night. So I'm thinking, okay, well, this is about to get into this conversation. But he never would give me eye contact. But he would continue to make, it's like, we have to clean out the bed in there because it has a lot of clothes on it. And, but I'm still looking at him to get, like, to see where you going with this. But he never did lead into the conversation. He actually started asking me questions like, so where are you staying in Memphis? And I'm like, that wasn't part of what you told me you was gonna say. So I don't know Memphis. He knows I didn't know Memphis. And so I didn't know what to say. I finally said an Airbnb. And then Tabitha was like, where? And I was like, downtown. And then that conversation ended. And he continued to say something about me staying the night, but never going into the conversation of what we were supposed to be talking about.
Had you ever been into that apartment before?
No.
On April the 4th, when you were there, what part of the apartment did you go into?
I walked through the front door, which led into a small little hallway and right into their kitchen area.
And then into the living
And
room?
then into, yes.
Did you go into any bedroom?
No.
Your Honor, this is part of the cumulative exhibit 13. Did you ever go into the guest bedroom?
I did not.
What is all over the bed in the guest bedroom?
Clothes?
Had you seen that?
No.
But those are the clothes Brodes was talking about?
Yes.
When he was talking about clearing off the bed, you sleeping over, did you think that was his jumping off point to talk to Tabitha?
I thought so.
How were you feeling at that point?
Very nervous.
Were you also excited?
I think I was more nervous because I just didn't know which way it was going to go, but hopeful.
At some point, you lost hope.
Yes.
And you said you were going to leave.
Yes.
Why did you decide to leave?
I saw that it wasn't going anywhere. Like I said, he was not giving me eye contact. So I knew, or I felt like he had changed his mind. And I just didn't want to keep sitting there feeling, at that point, stupid.
What happened after you said you were going to leave?
Tabitha got up, he got up, and so she began to tell me about watching for the police, because I had been drinking.
Had you drank a lot?
No, not at all. But she still was just letting me know. And she began to walk toward the door. And I asked him, would he walk me out? He said no. And I said, why not, sir? That's Southern hospitality for you to walk a woman outside when it's dark. Because I wanted to just get him to see like what happened. Why didn't you follow through? But he refused to walk me out. So Tabitha opened the door and was walking out. I was still trying to get him to walk me out. And as I reached into my pockets to get my keys, I remember being outside the door, and then the next thing I was standing in their kitchen.
Do you deny that you shot Brodes Perry?
I do not.
Do you deny that you shot Tabitha?
I don't, but I know it wasn't intentional.
Did you mean to shoot Tabitha?
No, I wasn't trying to hurt anybody.
When you went to that apartment that day, did you intend to use your gun on either Brodes or Tabitha?
No.
When you went there, what was your purpose in going there?
Thinking that I was gonna get some kind of ending to the relationship.
Moments later, the sounds of gunfire and growing panic drew neighbors to call 911. When Collierville police officers arrived, they found Brodes and Tabitha badly wounded and still inside the home. Daniels, meanwhile, was still standing with the weapon in her hand, refusing to drop it when officers commanded her to do so. Eventually, officers were able to disarm her. Daniels was taken into custody and transported to the hospital, where she reportedly struggled with police and attempted to resist arrest. Both victims were rushed to the Regional Medical Center for emergency care. Brodes Perry's wounds proved fatal, and he died shortly after arriving at the hospital, leaving family, friends, and his church community stunned. Tabitha survived her injuries and later shared details of the attack with investigators and the press. This dreadful night marked the end of a life dedicated to ministry and deeply affected the lives of everyone connected to the Perrys, turning a quiet residential evening into a scene of senseless loss. The horrifying violence of April 4th, 2019 didn't end when the last shots were fired. What happened next, as police and first responders arrived, added another chaotic chapter to an already tragic night. When Collierville officers responded to multiple calls from neighbors reporting gunfire and screams, they found a terrifying scene. Inside the apartment, both Brodes Perry and his wife were wounded, and Latoshia Daniels was still holding a gun. According to the police affidavit, she refused to drop her weapon even when officers repeatedly commanded her to do so, leaving law enforcement with little choice but to act to protect themselves and others. In the tense moments that followed, officers used a less lethal shotgun to disarm Daniels, striking her and causing her to drop the firearm. This allowed police to take her into custody without further shots being fired. But the chaos didn't stop there. After being transported to a nearby hospital for treatment of her wounds, Daniels allegedly resisted arrest again. According to police reports, she pushed and shoved an officer who was trying to secure her, and then attempted to flee on foot through the hospital. Officers had to chase her down, force her to the ground, and finally handcuff her before she could be brought back into custody. By the end of that long night, what began as a distress call had turned into a full-blown criminal arrest under extraordinary circumstances. Daniels was booked on numerous charges, including first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, assault on a police officer, and resisting arrest, reflecting not only the deadly violence inside the apartment, but also her struggle with authorities afterward. The confusion and intensity of those moments, officers trying to secure wounded victims, a shooter refusing to surrender, and a second confrontation in the hospital, highlighted just how quickly a tragic event can spiral out of control. The scenes that night would later become key evidence and testimony in the 2025 trial, painting a picture of both the violence and the frantic response that followed. After the tragic shooting at the Perry's apartment in April 2019, the case against Latoshia Daniels took years to make its way through the Tennessee justice system. Law enforcement and prosecutors worked to build a strong case, and in November 2025, Daniels finally faced a jury trial in Shelby County for the deadly encounter. Daniels was originally charged with multiple serious offenses, including first-degree murder, the most severe charge, which would require proof that she planned the killing ahead of time, as well as attempted first-degree murder in the shooting of Tabitha Perry and using a firearm while committing a dangerous felony. During the trial, both sides presented powerful arguments. The prosecution emphasized that Daniels had purchased a handgun earlier on the day of the shooting, drove several hours from Arkansas to Tennessee, and then opened fire on Brodes Perry and his wife, actions which they said showed intent and responsibility for her decisions. In contrast, Daniels' legal team argued that her emotional distress, rooted in her relationship with Perry and how it ended, overwhelmed her judgment and contributed to the fatal confrontation. Her defense attorney described her emotional state as one that clouded her ability to act reasonably, rather than showing she planned a murder. After deliberating, the jury reached a verdict in late 2025. They convicted Daniels of second-degree murder in the death of Brodes Perry and reckless endangerment for injuring his wife, Tabitha. However, the jury acquitted her on the charge of employing a firearm during a felony, meaning they did not find enough evidence to link that specific count to the shooting. The difference between first-degree and second-degree murder in Tennessee is significant. First-degree requires premeditation, while second-degree focuses on knowingly causing a death without the highest level of planning. The jury's decision suggested they believed Daniels played a direct role in Perry's death, but were not convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that she had carefully planned it ahead of time. Daniels' bond was revoked immediately after the verdict, and she awaited sentencing. Under state law, a second-degree murder conviction can carry a sentence ranging widely depending on the circumstances, with potential prison time of many years. A sentencing hearing was scheduled to take place in December 2025, although delays were reported due to paperwork and a mental health evaluation. The legal aftermath of this case, years of pretrial detention, emotional testimony from both sides, and a verdict on lesser charges, highlights how the justice system wrestles with complex cases that involve emotion, violence, and conflicting narratives.
I mean, I have mixed feelings. From day one, we believe that this was a voluntary manslaughter. We believe count 2, the reckless, was criminal intent reckless homicide was a fair verdict, and we were happy about the not guilty verdict on count 3. So again, we always thought that this was a crime of passion and that there was adequate provocation based upon his manipulation and the things that he did to her during the course of their relationship.
And you all called Latoshia Daniels to testify. Tell me what was the things that you guys thought about when you made that decision.
There was so much of this story that only Latoshia could tell. The police only had so much information, and Tabitha Perry did not have a lot of this information. So there was all of these gaps that there was no explanation for, that Latasha had to be the one to fill in for the jury. But also, she wanted to tell her story to this jury. She wanted them to understand how she felt when this was happening. And that's why we did push for that voluntary manslaughter and the reckless endangerment, because she was under such emotional distress when this happened that she was not thinking clearly.
When you go to sentencing, will you push the fact that she has no criminal record and try and see if you can get, I think it carries 15 to 25 years, will you try and push for the lower end of that due to no criminal record in the past? Absolutely.
So second-degree murder in Tennessee has, for someone with no prior criminal history, has two potential ranges of punishment. There's a mitigated range that carries 13.5 years, and then there is a standard range one offender for someone with no prior felonies. That carries 15 to 25 years. We will absolutely be arguing that a woman who is 46 years old and has absolutely no criminal history and has done so much to try to better those around her. While she was incarcerated, she wrote a book for incarcerated mothers. She wrote a book for the children of incarcerated mothers. She has lived her life trying to help people. What happened on April the 4th of 2019 was not the actions that ever would have happened with Latoshia Daniels if she was not in that state of distress.
And how is she feeling? I know you guys have probably been able to talk to her. How is she feeling right now?
I mean, go ahead.
I think she's a little bit in shock. I think she's struggling with the idea that she's going to probably have to spend at least another decade in prison. But I think she also understands that, you know, this happened for a reason, and the way she handled her previous incarceration, I think she's going to be fine.
Could that prior prison time count towards?
Oh, absolutely. Whatever jail time she had, jail credit she had built up, that'll count toward the ultimate sentence she'll receive in Division 2.
I know you weren't the original attorney on this, but since you've worked with it, what has it been like as you've worked through it, what you've discovered? Has it been like peeling back an onion, or when you got it, was it really already mostly there? The evidence and the proof.
So like I said, this has been a very unique type of case that we talked to the jury about that day one, in that there's actually a disparity of information in our favor in this case, which is very, very unusual. So a lot of the discovery was not disputed information. Where the dispute came was from the mental state, and that could only come from Latasha.
I think the other big point that needs to be emphasized here is, you know, a lot of times in our society we only view abuse as physical. And in this case, this really highlighted the mental abuse that she went through with this person that took advantage of her. I mean, he was supposed to be her therapist, and he knew her deepest, darkest secrets, and he used that against her, especially with her being a person that had prior mental health issues.
Attorney Warren, I arrived late and I apologize if this has been asked. Has she spoken to the pastor's wife since the shooting? And if so, what was that conversation like?
I don't think she's ever.
She wouldn't have been legally allowed to. There would have been bond conditions and other court order prohibitions against contact.
Has she expressed any interest in reaching out to her and apologizing or having a conversation with her?
I think that's something that probably will be addressed at sentencing, and just knowing Latasha, getting to know her and the person that she is, I'm almost 99% sure that she will write a letter or make statements to Tabitha about her actions and apologizing for her actions. Because even in their banter back and forth, she was, you know, she didn't want to shoot her. She never meant to shoot her, and she was shocked. I think Tabitha was shocked when she was shot.
And Latasha has been genuinely remorseful in all of our communications with her, not just as to Tabitha, but even as to Brodes. Like, this
is a weight that she carries every day.
Is she getting mental health therapy in jail, and do you think that therapy is adequate?
She's been out of custody. She has been getting mental health help, and I know that I'm confident that she will continue to get mental health help, and I hope that they offer adequate services, but we won't know until time shows.
How much time did she spend in jail before the trial?
About 4 years. So she's got a little time under her belt.
And will that count toward the sentence?
Yes.
Time served, you think?
No.
No?
No.
It will count as jail credit, but that will not cover the range of exposure.
The shooting of Pastor Brodes Perry by Latoshia Daniels was not just a violent moment. It was the result of emotions pushed to the breaking point. In the years since the shooting, the trial and media coverage have shown how feelings of betrayal, confusion, and emotional pain can lead to devastating consequences when people don't get help or support. The fact that the phrase, "You broke my heart," was said during the shooting has become a chilling reminder of how personal hurt can spiral into irreversible tragedy. One of the biggest takeaways from this case, for viewers, families, and communities, is that emotional turmoil should never be ignored. Many people watching the trial were struck by how much Daniels' mental and emotional state was discussed in court, including her claims of heartbreak and psychological stress. Although a jury found her guilty of second-degree murder rather than the more serious charge of first-degree, the case highlighted how the legal system must grapple with both emotional causes and criminal responsibility. The public reaction also showed how divided people can be when a case combines religious leadership, personal relationships, and violence. Some people in Perry's community remembered him for his ministry and the positive impact he had made, while others focused on the emotional complexity of Daniel's story and questioned the dynamics between the two adults involved. Discussions in online forums and news commentary reflected this split. Some viewers expressed sorrow and sympathy for all affected, while others emphasized accountability for the choices that were made. Another lesson is the importance of support systems, emotional, mental, and social, before situations escalate. Experts in mental health and crisis intervention often stress that people wrestling with profound pain or trauma need accessible help, not silence or shame. When someone feels rejected or alone, that emotional distress can become dangerous without proper support and care. Finally, this case reminds us that every headline represents real people. A pastor whose life was taken, a wife who survived a violent attack, families shattered, and a woman whose life will be changed forever by her actions and by the legal consequences that followed. Reflecting on these realities can help viewers understand that true crime stories are not just about events. They're about the human lives behind them and the pain and loss that ripple out long after the news cameras are gone. That's a wrap on today's case. But the story doesn't stop here. There are countless voices still unheard, stories still in the shadows, and truths still waiting to be uncovered. Here at True Crime Diaries, we're dedicated to digging deep, exposing the facts, honoring the victims, and keeping their memories alive. Hit subscribe, like this video, turn on notifications so you're always first to know when new case drops. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.